From a boycott that's rocked big box retailers to beauty brand buyouts making waves. Today, we're unpacking the hottest CPG headlines and what they actually mean for your business. Welcome back to the 2 Cents Podcast. It's your boy Reuben. We're here with my girl, Breanna Deculus. We miss you, girl.
Happy to be back. Thanks for holding it down last episode.
Absolutely, absolutely. We had a good time with Rodney on the show. But today we want to dive into all of the flashy CPG headlines. More importantly, who got bought and who got burned. So, girl, listen, we're going to jump right in here to
Let's do
my
it.
2 cents. I'm fired up about this. I want to get your perspective. But your boy, Pastor Bryant, he done jumped in now. He's moved his boycott from Target over to Dollar General. And the perspective is Dollar General is in a lot of rural areas, so a lot of consumers that are black don't have access to many other stores. Dollar General is 3 times larger than Walmart and Target combined. And then he wants us to write letters. He wants us to not go to the store, and he wants to let them know that they're not doing right by black people. I want your perspective on this, and I hope you can nail it so I don't have to go off. But I would love to hear how you feel about this.
Well, no, I definitely want your perspective as well. I'll definitely weigh in here. This is my first thing, and this is not to totally bring up the Target conversation again, but I feel like I have to add this level of context before I can give my 2 cents on this Dollar General piece. Um, what he was calling people to do at Target is not actually helping these black and brown brands on the shelf. These brands have contracts with Target already. Their product is either going to be severely discounted because the units haven't moved, or they're going to lose distribution. And so, not walking the aisles of Target and not spending your powerful dollar on these black and brown brands in Target is not enabling or helping or supporting these founders that are already in business with this retailer. Secondly, pivoting to the Dollar General piece, I'm sorry, but this is not the call your senator model, okay? Like, to be clear, this is not politics because guess what? Dollar General doesn't care if Bobby, Sally, and Sue don't like that they don't have oranges and tomatoes at their Dollar General. And I'm saying that as someone who is from Louisiana. My family lives in rural Louisiana, and we don't have that many grocery stores. We don't have that many places where my family members can go and get fresh produce unless they're driving, miles down the road to make it to the closest Walmart. And I guess my question here is what are we expecting a retailer to do for a community that they never signed up to do? I guess is my question. Dollar General never said we're opening our doors to serve the black and brown community that lives in rural areas, and we're going to make sure that they have healthy and nutritious meals. That is not their motto. Go on the website and look up what that motto of Dollar General is. I promise you they never said that. I promise you. But what I'd say here is I don't think that the pastor has ill intent. I think he doesn't understand how to make true impact here. And I think that that's the important piece is that have him talk to some industry leaders, some retailer leaders, and really explain, hey, I like the initiative of you wanting to bring this community together so that they are being represented properly within the retail space and within the CPG space. 100%. I love that. I support it. I'll wear a t-shirt. But do I think that you should be telling people not to shop at Target and to be calling the phone a Dollar General? No, because guess what? You're probably going to get someone who's underpaid, that's maybe getting paid minimum wage, that's going to answer the phone and say, oh, okay, so you want oranges and you want cuties at your Dollar General. Okay, good to know. Hangs up the phone, doesn't write it down because there's also probably not a centralized message that's being told to the Dollar General customer service people who's answering this phone. Also, to be clear. So I'll stop there. I don't want to get off my soapbox, and I love to hear your perspective.
Oh, Brianna, you took me all over the place, and I love it because you were spot on, right? But let me try to sum this up this way. I used this term before when we talked about the boycotts, right? Right idea, wrong execution, right? Um, Listen, I think this approach is equivalent to having a urinating section in a swimming pool. It's just tainted, right? It's a tainted approach. Couple things, right? If you want to have impact, right, Mr. Preacher, right? Why not go after Walmart? Right? Let's be clear. You talk about, and this is what happens. We use data and we don't give context. Yes, Dollar General is 3 times the size of Walmart and Target combined. You know what he's talking about? Stores and locations, right? But guess what?
20,000 stores, 20,000 stores.
Absolutely. Guess what, Pastor Boycott? Walmart's revenue was 16 times that of Dollar General. Walmart is 90%, is 10%, 10 minutes or less from 90% of the US population. You want to have impact, Mr. Boycott? Go deal with Goliath. Stop fooling with these small retailers or people who are already down and so you're kicking them, right? He's giving credit saying that this boycott is the most successful since in the last 70 years. What is equivalent to is kicking someone while they're down. You ever seen a fight? Someone is getting beat up pretty bad and someone throws a kick in and feels like he did something. That's what we're doing here. Target's stock, for perspective, right? In November of 2024, November 19th was $156. November 20th, it went to $122. You know what that meant? Walmart had already spoken. Target was already in trouble. They had already called out the fact that they just didn't have what it takes to get things to the next level, requiring them to really change their strategy. Yes, the boycott has had some short-term impact. It's impacted traffic. But guess what's up in Target? They're buy online and pick up at the curb. So people not going in the store, but people still getting their Target stuff. And so we need more organized strategies if we really want to have impact. And picking on little Dollar General ain't gonna get it. So Pastor Jamal Bryant, I'm here to tell you, right idea, wrong strategy. Figure it out, brother. Get some planes, trains, automobiles, and some advice to do the right thing in the right way. I rest my case.
Hey, I think that you call out some very impactful things there, and I agree with you. Let's have a centralized strategy. I'm not against having a true movement happen, but understand the dynamics and what the fallout is. What is the impact?
To your point, last statement I'll make here, right? You talk about the impact. And so to punish Target for rolling back DEI policies that impact their employment base at the expense of Black funders or CPG brands that are at their shelf has a far greater impact, right? DEI policies mean less investment, less promotion for minority employees. Not having people walk through those doors and buy that product mean you're impacting the economic value to those brands that, oh, by the way, are fueling the economy at some sort of fashion. And
Yeah.
so your intent is having a negative consequence that's impacting the economy. Think about that.
So I'm actually going to pivot away from the items that have a barcode and let's talk about beyond the barcode. We have seen some crazy acquisitions that have been happening
Absolutely.
in the CPG industry lately. I'm talking about billion-dollar paydays, the acquired taste, Poppi being bought by Pepsi for nearly almost a $2 billion deal. Insane to see, but also Rhode Beauty being bought. This is fresh off the presses. A $1 billion deal with e.l.f. Beauty. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. We have a lot to unpack here. I'm excited to talk about this. This is my Super Bowl. I know Reuben will also give some great input, but I'm excited to talk through this stuff.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah, listen, I'd love to hear your perspective on this, right? I know you love this stuff. You're seeing the data all the time, so I'm sure you're going to have some fact-based point of view, and I'm going to add, my hilarious, sad, rational take on some of this. So shoot, go for
yeah.
it.
So look, this is the thing. Let's look beyond the barcode, like I said, and let's just talk about how Rhode Beauty got into this position. It's a fascinating story. I think this is going to be a really nice case study that students will be studying and learning years to come in business school, because there's so many things that I see that Rhode has done right, and I have some things I just have a major question mark on. Why did e.l.f. take this leap of faith? So let's talk about the details of this deal. So Rhode was founded in June 2022 by Haley Bieber and two other parties as well. So owned by three people. This brand has only been around for, call it, 2.5, almost 3 years, right? They are only a digital native brand. They have no in-store distribution at all. That is a strategic plan that they chose to make. Tight product assortment. They only have 10 items total. Total. So I'm gonna step out of this for a second. Brand founders, you don't need 50 different product offerings to be successful. Stop creating stuff for a single use idea. Okay, I'm gonna step back in. Hold on. Stepping back into my case study for a second. Um,
Public service announcement for Breanna Deculus.
and what I find to be so interesting is that they announced earlier this year that they were finally getting their first brick and mortar placement. Where at? Sephora. What does that tell you? Prestige brand. What else does that tell you? They know that they are a lifestyle brand. While they have some makeup, they have skincare. So they are coined as a beauty brand, not a makeup brand, not just a skincare brand, but a beauty brand. They're right in the middle. They are a bubble. That's important to call out as we talk about this. And the last thing that I'll say, this is large. This is the largest e.l.f. purchase they've ever made. The last purchase that e.l.f. made was only around, like, I say only, but $365 million. And now they're swinging for the fences with $1 billion business deal with Rhode. We got to talk through this. So things that I find to be interesting. Rhode items are about 3 to 4x more expensive than a typical e.l.f. item, right? So when I think about the business model, the ownership, what happens to the actual product and the consumer experience of consumers who have purchased Rhode from the last 2.5 going on 3 years? And does any of that brand equity change, right? That's the first question that I think about. The second thing I think about is, how does Rhode see this business relationship as beneficial for them beyond just having the juice of, we are now a part of the e.l.f. manufacturing umbrella? Reason why I say that, this will be controversial, but right now Rhode holds all the cards. They just finally made the first decision of what retailer they want to go to. That's an exclusivity opportunity. I'm only in Sephora. So now the frenzy of, oh my God, it's in Sephora. Let me go buy 10 things from Rhode. It'll be the whole dang portfolio because they only got 10 items. But I'm going to go buy all 10 things from Sephora because I'm so excited that I finally get to put my hands on it. These things are great, but what's the next step? How do they leverage this e.l.f. relationship and really get the juice out of now being a part of this umbrella? My take, they need to go land a drugstore placement. I think drugstores are dying, right? Everybody knows that. That is not new news. Traffic is down in these stores. The price point is high, and candidly, Rhode needs their next play, right? Particularly because details of this deal is they get $800 million in cash and stocks. They don't get that other 2 million unless Rhode actually performs and does well. So my take is, go to a retailer who needs you and their price point aligns with your price point, and maybe, just maybe, you go secure that other $200 million. Reuben, what's your take on that?
Oh, you went ahead and gave me a thesis on this brand and its positioning. I love it, right? The history is important, and you made me think about some things differently because we didn't really chop it up too deep about this topic before then. But you said a lot of good stuff. Couple things, right? $1 billion sale, I would assume, because it's hot, sexy, and it's new. It's probably like a 10x multiple. So I would assume they may be around 180, $100 million EBITDA, somewhere in that ballpark. And so for that kind of investment, I think they may have a strategy. Let's be clear, e.l.f. is not that old. And
No.
so don't be surprised if e.l.f. is not positioned itself to be acquired by a larger beauty conglomerate, right? So we got to keep that in mind, right? Because you're going to make different decisions there than if I was trying to buy and hold, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think your point is excellent. I love your Walgreens perspective. Makes a lot of sense. They need some new news. Why not jump into some kind of exclusive partnership relationship? I'm thinking of the Target Kate Spades example that happened last year that was really breakthrough. So I
Yes.
love that kind of idea. Here's the point. I think when you lean in this kind of investment, and to your point, else may not have the juice yet. I think you're banking on this hot new news. Everybody's going to want to come to the party. And so,
Mm-hmm.
because everybody's going to want to come to the party, you're going to reach distribution points that you wouldn't already have gotten if you didn't have somebody like the beautiful Rhode on your arm, right? There are just some parties I've been able to get in since I was married to Tyra that I couldn't get in before Tyra, right? That's just part of the game, right? So I think that might be the play here. Whether it's going to be
Yep.
successful or not, I don't know, because then the product still has to be good. It has to
Right.
have a unique market position. I don't know those things, but I know the brand looks sleek, it looks clean, tight assortment to your point. So I think they have a shot to show up to the dance. The question is, do they have the moves? We'll see what happens, right? But I
Right.
love your take on it. It was interesting. But like I look at it, think about Poppi, right? Poppi is another great example where it's a cutting edge insight around people wanting to do healthier things in a more convenient fashion.
Yep.
Just like probiotics, prebiotics have been around for a while now. The liquid form has been growing and exploding lately. They have a pretty tight portfolio, so it's not a crazy deep assortment, but it's a running trend. And GLPs is a running trend. And so Pepsi is placing this bet that I can go from 1 to 10 by putting this in all my distribution points and seeing if we can really have the reach successful because I already have the distribution. So look, I think operational excellence is a key piece here. Having a sound brand and blocking and tackling with great fundamentals and foundation is important. But some of this comes down to if you have the influence, right? I looked it up while we're talking. I think Haley Bieber had like 50 million Instagram followers. Half of those folks just want to buy because they want to be a part of something, right?
Absolutely.
And
Talking
so,
about
so
those super vans that
it is
that you speak
it is
about.
equivalent to my mom. Every time my kids have a fundraiser, she's buying. She don't need nothing, she buying, but she buying, right? Because she's a super fan of her grandkids. That's what's happening. And so the take for me for founders and small brands is you gotta build a community. The
Yeah.
bigger the community, the bigger your reach, it's the most efficient way to do that. And if you're able to do that, you're going to be able to go far and stand the test of time for the most part because you have people who are in the bed with you.
And I think that what you're hitting on, particularly about the Poppy thing, as we compare and contrast Poppy versus this Rhode deal, right? Poppy makes more sense to me because Poppy started off very, very tight, just like Rhode did. The difference is that they went and they acquired distribution as a brand on their own and proved themselves a couple of times versus
Yeah.
taking in a buyer so quickly like Rhode did. 2.5 years in, and you're already like, payday me. I'm not judging. I'm not judging. But what
Don't
I'm
judge.
saying is that Poppy has been the number one healthiest soda on Amazon, right? They had an exclusivity deal with Target. Now you could go get Poppy from your local Piggly Wiggly, like Winn Dixie, Albertsons, Kroger, HEB. They did the work, and now they're going to take the pipeline from Pepsi to go be a global brand. That makes sense to me. I feel like Rhode had more runway if they leaned in, they landed a little bit more distribution, they proved themselves out. I think Rhode could have potentially also been another $2 billion deal, right? But also, that's about time, that's about patience, that's about also just bowing out and understanding like I've done enough and now I want the experts to come in and really run my brand. But I see both sides. I guess I'm just shocked that Rhode one was able to land almost $1 billion deal this early on, but also two that e.l.f. jumped on it this quickly and that they put so much money up front on a brand that hadn't truly proved itself out yet. I think that
Yeah.
that's where my shock lies in looking at these two deals in the last both of these deals have happened in the last 2 months, right?
Yeah.
So in two
Yeah.
months, we're seeing some really big acquisitions in the CPG industry. It's going to be really interesting to see what the face of new brands and what brands will be here to stay in the upcoming years. Honestly,
Listen, you dropped a couple other nuggets, right? A couple things I'll do to close it and put a bow on this, right? Like $1 billion in 2.5 years. You can look at that a couple ways. I view it as a little bit of privilege, right? I used to always make the comment, I can't be mad Michael Jordan has 3 kids and I'm not one of them, right?
okay,
And so, Haley Bieber's in a good position, right? She has a pool of consumers that I don't care what she launches, people are going to buy it, right? And so it says, as a founder, build a community, build those super fans. You build those super fans, you have a lot of options, right? And so, look, I appreciate it. I ain't mad at it, but you're spot on. It's surprising, but not really surprised at the end of the day, right? Let's see if it has the stick to itness to hang around for a very long time. So love
absolutely.
it, love it. I love your point of view on it. So look, let's shift gears to shelf tests. This is a topic that's really, I think, it's not getting enough attention. For me, it's getting a lot of attention because it's a big take. I just read an article the other day that talked about the return policies and how consumers are really starting to exploit them, right? So um, the retailers are spending 2023 estimate like $740 billion in returns, of which like 100 billion of that is fraudulent, right? So people are like sending back boxes with nothing in them, or sending back electronics with key parts missing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? And people are getting their money because once that UPS barcode is scanned, it's saying that you returned it, so you're giving your money, and they can't really get that back. But on top of that, there's this organized crime part. When you go into retail now, everything is locked up. You've seen it in drug. Now you go to Walmart and Target, the entire personal care aisles are really um, locked up, and you need to get an associate to help you get some of your favorite products because you can't get it because it's on a secured glass. And so I'm curious on your take with this organized crime ramping up and people really taking advantage of returns, how you view that and how you think that's going to impact retail both in the short, medium, and long term. So I'd love your perspective.
This is a loaded question, right? So
Loaded.
it's different. It's a shock. It's uncomfortable for consumers who never experienced a locked up shelf, right? But as we think about the young adults that are going to start to transition into going into the store and buying their favorite items, it's going to be the new normal for them, right? It will be their norm. And so they may not see it as an issue as much as maybe people who've had purchase power for, more years than these younger consumers have. That's my first piece. Also, these younger consumers are often just going online and purchasing the items that they want anyway. So that's the second part of this. When I think about what the long term, short term impact, some of those thoughts come to my mind first. But in totality, what I hear and what I see here is that we need to leverage technology. We need to be leveraging all of the automated abilities that we are leveraging in other aspects of our day-to-day lives. We should be also leveraging this in our shopping and returning behaviors. What does that mean? Candidly, I don't know, but ideas are, okay, we change the return policy. Do you drop off your item at your local store or whatever the case may be, and you give that retailer 24 hours to assess, evaluate the item before they then issue your return? That's an option, right? To make sure that the item isn't damaged, it hasn't been tainted with or replaced with a broken item or whatever the case may be. That's one idea. Also, Amazon, always thinking, a few steps ahead. Amazon now has that shopping experience where a consumer scans in with their Prime membership account information, and then they go and they shop the store, and then you could just walk out and you don't go to the register. How do they do
Amazon
that?
Go.
They use AI, right? Amazon Go. They use AI to track that shopper and track what items they're picking up as they go through the store. We could 100% start to leverage something like that in these other retailers. Now, does that mean that maybe less people could be in the store at a given period of time while they perfect this? Maybe, But those are ways that retailers can really clean up, not having someone swipe a full shelf of, whatever item they're trying to steal and take to, the marketplace, for instance, right? Um, that's also an option as a way to do that. I think we have to find ways to, one, track consumers, two, track the product better, and three, also come up with a better solution for returns, because as a retailer, you owe your customer the right to return. But also, as a retailer, you own the right to clean up this leaky bucket, right? $100 billion is real money. That alone cleans up P&L issues, okay? That alone then doesn't raise the cost for these brands to be on your shelf, which means that these brands then don't have to charge the consumer as much for an item, right? There's always cause and effect. And I think that there's a piece of that, of really understanding, hey, the more that y'all continue to steal items or tamper items, the more it's impacting you as a consumer at the end of the day. So I don't know. I was kind of all over the place. I don't have a real answer if that, if you didn't gather that, but those are some of my
Yeah.
thoughts.
No, no, look, you again, you hit it again. I think I sum it up to one thing. It's really education,
Mm-hmm.
right? If we are if retailers are educating consumers on, call it, the general itemization of the things that cause their prices to increase,
Mm-hmm.
then you'll make better decisions, right? What do I mean by that, right? If you understand your health numbers, your blood pressure is too high, your weight is too high, more often than not, you take action, right? If you know your financial numbers are off, more often you take action. And so if consumers understand a couple things, right? That when you are now buying 10 dresses with the intention to only buy one and you return nine, that raises the cost. That's not a cost of doing business, that raises the cost. Just like tariffs raise the cost of me doing business as a retailer, and I have to pass some of that cost on to you, that's called the cost of business and doing life. But if consumers understood those behaviors, they might have different action, right? If consumers understood that the reason the products are locked up is because people keep coming in my stores and slash grabbing everything on the shelf in a basket and running out the store, selling that on the black market, that in turn shows up in a marketplace as 3P items, then consumers might not buy on 3P from Amazon. What happens?
So do you mean that, like, maybe Reverend Boycott should be maybe pushing something like this? I don't
It,
know. Because this is real
mm,
impact. That's
it
real impact.
sounds like you might be on to something. I don't know
I don't
if
know.
I've been
Give
told.
give me Pastor Jamal Bryant's number. I think we need to have
Hey,
a
why,
conversation.
why don't you send him a tweet?
Oh Lord.
Send him a tweet. Let him
It's
know.
not even
But
called Twitter anymore. So I don't know if
oh,
it's actually a tweet or if it's a
oh my bad. Send him an X.
I, I don't even know. I don't even use it. So I don't know what the post would be called. Send him a message out on X and see if he
Listen, let me
replies.
finish my point. But if consumers understood the impact, right? If they understood what of our behaviors or what of some of our community's behaviors that's causing a price impact, we might speak up about that. It's not
Mm-hmm.
snitching, it's about understanding what's driving my cost. If they understand what's driving my cost, then they might choose different decisions that will keep the cost lower. It's pretty
Yeah.
straightforward, right? But I don't know how brands survive in this. If I'm launching a brand now in the beauty or personal care space and I'm behind glass, I don't know how a consumer picks up my product, touch, feel, read the description to understand what's going on. And so I'm interested to see what technology comes out of that. You mentioned technology. I'd love to see in the returns using AI, right? Before it's shipped, it's scanned, it goes to your house. When you return it, it's scanned to see if what I'm getting back is like for like exactly what I put in the box, and I have the proof. You know who used to do that? There's a retailer called box.com, right? They were an alternative to club. They would
Mm-hmm.
send you club items without the membership. But what they were having was a lot of returns saying that something was missing in their box. So what
Mm-hmm.
they started doing was when they shipped your box, they took a picture of your box and sent it to you as if the box was talking to you. But really what they were doing was saying, hey, I'm sending you a picture of what I sent to you So I know what's in this box. So don't come back to me with a return saying you're missing deodorant when I know I sent it to you because it's right here in the picture, right? So
Right.
there are cool ways to create gamification or use technology to really try to deter. Because at the end of the day, what we're trying to deter is deter the bad actors so that we can have the access to the products that make the most sense for us. Because at the end of the day, when theft goes up in a store, security goes up. When security doesn't work, you know what happens? Those stores pack up and they leave. And now our community no longer has access to those goods and services at an affordable rate. And so that's why it's important that all of us as consumers really be educated on the whys so that we can take the action appropriate to be successful.
Mm. It sounds like once again, there should be some movements that are going around understanding the impact of your community, the impact of something like this to your community, right? So pack a retailer packing up and leaving, we're talking about a Walmart. Guess what Walmart also has besides health and personal care products? Food, fresh
Ooh,
produce.
oh, okay. Sounds like you want me to pass the collection plate. Maybe I need to become a preacher. Maybe I need to go down to Atlanta and talk to Mr. Jamal Boycotts people to let them know what it really is. Mm-hmm.
And with that, I think we hit the nail on the head with these different topics. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please like, comment, and subscribe. We are streaming on all streaming platforms and also on YouTube. So make sure that you comment your opinion. We love to have some conversations with you guys. And as always, thanks for tuning into the episode. And that's our 2 cents.
That's a wrap. Bye.
Bye, y'all.